Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, can the Clippers catch them for the number 2 seed in the Western Conference? So that's the topic I want to get into today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, check out Dreamerspro Max, an online sports community place we created where you can go and start basketball discussions, chat live during games, so many other cool things. So make sure you check that out. We have that linked in the description below and get 7 days of access. Also, make sure you go ahead and click the join button to join the channel next to the subscribe button, and ensure that you receive your to get your loyalty badges, and also to ensure that whenever you leave a comment, it's responded to on the channel or whenever we go live. So make sure you go ahead and do that. Anyway, let me get into this topic here. So, as I said before, the Clippers have had the best record in the NBA since the All-Star break, right? I've pretty much been saying this, although they've been dismissed by a good amount of people out there. For example, one of these people out there that have dismissed the Clippers, well, to be fair, I think he dismissed them as well last year in Stephen A. Smith, but he dismissed them this year. He doesn't believe the Clippers have any chance whatsoever of getting out of the Western Conference, even when he talks about the potential finals. When he's talking about the Brooklyn Nets, he never mentions the Clippers in that conversation at all whatsoever. So, Stephen A. Smith doesn't think very highly of this team, or he simply doesn't feel like, listen, this team has what it takes to make it there, or he just maybe feels that, listen, the healthy LeBron, Anthony Davis, and what they got going on there with the Lakers, they're just going to be the best team in the Western Conference, and he is totally entitled to his opinion. No one is going to fault him for that. Now, the Clippers, on the other hand, are ranked number 6 in the NBA in offense as far as points per game. They're scoring about 114.9 points per game. They're the number 1 ranked 3-point shooting team in the NBA. This season. Right now, they're shooting 41.9% from the 3-point line. They're ranked number 11 as far as the defensive rating. They're the 11th best team in the NBA with the defensive rating, and they have the 3rd best record in the entire NBA, right? So that says a lot, for this team. They've just been improving on the defensive side of the floor since the All-Star break. They've been rebounding the ball very well. They've improved their defense, as I've said before. They've been holding teams very close to that 100-point mark, and for them to have the 3rd best record in the NBA, for them to have the best record since All-Star break, and they're doing this without so many of their key players, just really speaks to the fact that this Clippers team may be the deepest team in the NBA. I personally think that they're the deepest team in the NBA. I know Skip Bayless believes they're the deepest team in the NBA because they have so many good players. They can fill in so many different roles for this team, and they just have a lot of interchangeable pieces on their roster. The Clippers, every night, they somehow seem to go out there. They're missing so many key players, so many starters, and then they come out victorious in these games. The Clippers starting 5 this season have missed a combined 93 games this season. The starting 5 of the Clippers, they've missed a total combined games of 93 games this season. I think Anthony Davis has missed 20 games this season, if I'm not mistaken. But the Clippers, their best players have missed 93 games, right? They're starting players out of their starting 5. Guys, that's like a Steve. Essentially, their starters have missed about a season and a half of basketball. Think about that. There's 70 games this season, and they've missed 90 of them. Or not season and a half, well over a season, of basketball. So, it's crazy to think about. With all of these players in and out of the lineup, they're still coming out victorious in a lot of these games. It really speaks to just how good this team is. I think with the addition of DeMarcus Cousins to the roster, I think it now allows them to play pretty much any style of basketball that they want to, right? Because let's face it, last year the Lakers were the biggest team in the NBA, or at least the Western Conference, right? And they really flexed their muscle when they were able to play against the Denver Nuggets, who just, gave the Clippers problems in that second round, especially Nikola Jokic, and it really exposed the Clippers' lack of interior defense and their lack of big bodies. They just didn't have enough tall players that were skilled as defensive players to hang with the Denver Nuggets, but the Lakers did. You have LeBron James. You have Anthony Davis, who I thought should have been Defensive Player of the Year last year. You have, they had JaVale McGee. They had Dwight Howard. So they had a lot of skilled big men. LeBron James is 6'9". You have Kyle Kuzma. He's about 6'8". They were a very, very big team. But with the addition of DeMarcus Cousins, with Serge Ibaka making his return back to the team, because I know he's getting healthy. He's doing 4-on-4 practices out there. I think the Clippers now have an ability to play any style of basketball. If they go against the Lakers, they can go big. The Lakers cannot overwhelm them with their size. If they're going against a smaller team, they can play small, maybe, depending on the matchup that they're going to have. So I think they can play any style of basketball that they won to this season. Now, let's talk about this team catching the Phoenix Suns, who currently have the number 2 record in the Western Conference, and they also just came off a pretty good win, breaking the what do you call it, the winning streak of the New York Knicks, who were on an 8-game winning streak, and they were able to halt that winning streak by with the heroics of Chris Paul there. And I think in that fourth quarter, they really did their team. Now, listen. The Clippers and Suns have met each other twice this season already. And the Suns have been beaten pretty handily by the Clippers in both meetings, right? Paul George has terrorized the Phoenix Suns in both of the matchups that he's played against the Suns this season. He has terrorized them, right? Terrorized them. PG in the 2 games that he's played against the Suns this season. Think about this, guys. Paul George is averaging 36 points per game against in just 2 games of playing against the Suns. He's shooting well over 75% from the 3. The first game he hit, was it the first or second game? He hit 7 out of 10 3-pointers. 7. He shot 70% from the 3-point line that game. Paul George is shooting 100% from the free throw line against the Phoenix Suns. He's getting you 5 rebounds a game. He's getting you 3.5 assists per game, and he's getting you 2 steals per game. In the 2 meetings that Paul George has played against the Suns, he's completely obliterated them. He's been a one-man wrecking crew. The second game that they played against the Suns, Kawhi Leonard didn't play well that game. That game, Kawhi Leonard, if I'm not mistaken, Kawhi Leonard scored 15 points in that game in the game that they beat the Suns. He didn't play well that second game when they played. If I pull up his numbers here, Kawhi Leonard shot 4-21 from the floor. He shot 7 of 10 from the free throw line. He went 0 out of 0 from 3 from the 3-point line. He didn't make any 3-pointers. He had 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and he had 15 points. Paul George had 39, right? He went 7 to 10 from the 3-point line. I mean, it was just absurd, right? Paul George has been the guy that has just given this team fits all season long, right? Now, they're going to play them again tonight. It all depends again when you see this video. They're going to be playing the Phoenix Suns again tonight for the 3rd time. They currently already have 2 wins against them. They've beaten them twice already. If they beat them tonight, then they're definitely going to have the tiebreaker. So, if the Phoenix Suns and the Clippers finish with identical records, the Clippers are going to get the higher seed. Right now, the Clippers are 1 game behind the Phoenix Suns for the second place spot for the 2nd seed in the Western Conference. They're only 1 game behind, and funny enough, they're only 2 games behind the Utah Jazz, who for the majority of the season have been the best team as far as record in the NBA, but they've been floundering over the last, let's say, 2.5 weeks right now. So the Clippers have an opportunity to catch the Suns in standings. I think tonight is going to be a pivotal game, because if they beat them, looking at the standings right now, if they beat the Phoenix Suns tonight, then they're going to be one. The Suns are going to have 19 losses. The Clippers they're still going to be at 20. So the Suns will need to lose 1 more time, but the Clippers are going to have 1 more win than the Suns. So it's going to put more pressure on the Suns to keep winning. Now, the Clippers do have some tough matchups coming up towards the rest of the season. They have a few key matchups that they're going to be playing against the Lakers. They're going to be playing against the Suns, I believe. They're playing against the Suns, as I mentioned, and now they're going to play against the Denver Nuggets. Then apart from that, I think they have a manageable schedule all the way to the rest of the season. And if the Clippers do end up with the 2nd seed, they could potentially meet the Grizzlies, Blazers, or Dallas. Hell, they could even meet the Lakers in the first round, because there's so much movement, especially in the bottom of the bracket. Actually, there's a lot of movement happening in the Western Conference standings, because a lot of these teams are very close. You just saw yesterday that the Brooklyn Nets were able to clinch. They were able to clinch a playoff spot yesterday, but I think they're the only team that has clinched a playoff spot. At least that's what I've seen so far. So I think a lot will depend on how they play against the Suns tonight. If Kawhi Leonard doesn't play, obviously it doesn't mean that the Clippers cannot beat them, but if he doesn't play and the Clippers lose, I'm not going to put too much stock in it, because if these 2 teams are to meet in the playoffs, obviously Kawhi Leonard would play and it will be a different series. Kawhi Leonard has played in those first 2 meetings and they have won those games. So if he were to play, then I would definitely pick the Clippers. But if they lose tonight, I'm not going to say, oh, the Suns are better if Kawhi Leonard didn't play. If you're missing your best player, obviously it's going to have an effect on the outcome that you're going to have on any given night. So for me, I think if they're healthy, I think the Clippers can get to that number 2 seed if they just continue to win the rest of these games going towards the end of the season. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think the Clippers can catch them for the number 2 seed, or do you think, listen, it's just way too out of reach for them, and you think the Phoenix Suns are just going to keep winning? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day, and catch you guys on the next episode.